my family history was so negative in the sense that there was a lot of breast cancer. So I began to believe it's not if, but when. I wasn't fatalistic about it. I just thought that someday that might happen to me. In 2006, I was just having a routine exam because I go for that on an annual basis, and my internist said he felt a lump. And he said, but it's probably nothing, and you're always checked, and when was your last MRI? And I said, 2 weeks ago, but I didn't have the results of the MRI. So he said, well, it's probably nothing, so why don't you, go back to your surgeon and have it checked? And he said, but don't worry about it. So I went off on my world trips for work, which was very exciting, and came back. And in May, I went for I went for a biopsy and for another excision, and it turned out it was breast cancer. So that was a bit of a shock. I said I was prepared at the beginning, but I'm not so sure I was. And my doctor said, is your husband with you? And I said, no. And she said, well, why don't you come back with him? And I said, well, why don't you just tell me? I can handle it, and yes, I will bring him back with me. But so she said, well, you may want to do some other things besides continuing to have me cut on you. And I said, are you talking about a mastectomy? And she said, yes. And I said, well, I'm not ready to think about that today. But I ended up thinking about it, and it only took a week. I grew up water skiing, and so on my birthday, on my 63rd birthday, I water skied, I slalom. So I water skied on one ski at Lake Lanier, and I brought that picture with me to the hospital for my mastectomy, and I said to my doctors, this is what I want to do next year. And they said, you'll be able to. When I first came home from surgery, my husband, he would get up to give me a pill so that we'd get on top of the pain so I didn't feel any pain. I would fall asleep and he'd be up the rest of the night. He was there to just do anything and everything to make me feel good. And my family, my friends, people were really there for me. Whenever I got weepy about what I was experiencing, it wasn't about the cancer, and it wasn't about health. It was about the love and support that I felt throughout this entire experience. The only person in my family on my mother's side and father's side who didn't have breast cancer was my mother. And so I saw them, scarred and really almost mutilated. And so to me, maybe it's 40 years later, but I feel whole, and I feel good, and I do all the exercise I did before. And so this year, when I got in the lake, it just felt right. And I jumped up on one ski and I thought, I'm back. Somebody had walked the 60-mile walk for me when I was diagnosed. And she raised a lot of money for the cause, and I told her when I felt well, I would do the walk. My team raised $350,000 for research. I feel like my life is better than it's ever been because I'm so appreciative. I knew I was fortunate before this happened, but I came to appreciate everything I have so much more.